Okay, Emilio, you ready? Check this out, Emilio. You guys, please listen, because I know you're a little confused on the difference between what we were like. Okay, so look, watch. Emilio, is that your notebook?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. So there's a lot of information to process. So let's see if I can put this together for you, okay? So look. Let's say we have some random line, okay? Then let's say that's x1 and y1 right here, okay? Let's say that's x2 and y2, right? So what we were doing on Monday is you were given these 2 points, right? And you're asked to find the equation of this line. This line is going to be y equals mx plus b, right? And so in order to find the equation of that line, you first found the slope from the 2 points, right? And then you picked one of those points, and along with the slope, you plugged it in and you found out what this was. And then you just wrote your answer, right? You wrote y equals, and then whatever your slope was times x plus whatever your y-intercept was. But that's the process. With the big idea, you were given 2 points, and you had to find the equation of the line that went through them. Right, Nayeli? Sometimes the picture could help, but sometimes it wouldn't help. Right? And it wasn't given to you like this most of the time. Most of the time it would just say like, 5, 2, and -3, -8 or something. And you'd have to find the equation that went through those. Is that right, Juliana? We're clear so far? Okay, now yesterday's different. Yesterday's different. Yesterday they're giving you a line already. Like they'll give you the equation of the line, and they're asking you for what's another line that's parallel to this that goes through maybe this point. So if it's parallel, it's going to have the same exact slope. So you were going to use the same exact slope and then whatever that point was. So like if this point right here would be like, say, 1, -3, right? Then you would just do -3 equals whatever your slope is, I don't know, times 1 plus b, and you'd solve for b, and then you'd write your answer. That would be the line that's parallel to this line and goes through that point. Now, yeah. Now, if it was perpendicular, then your slope's different, right? You would still find this slope first, but then you would take its negative reciprocal. And then you'd plug that in here, and that would be the line that would be perpendicular to this line that would go through that point. That point might or might not be on this line. It doesn't matter. It's completely irrelevant. It's a different line. So here's the deal. If you're given 2 points, like 5, 9, and 0, 4, right? And you're asked for the equation of that line. That means you have these 2 points, and you're being asked to find what's the equation of this line right here. That's what happens when they give you 2 points. But if they give you a point like y equals 3x minus 4, and they ask you for the line that's perpendicular and goes through the point 4, 1, for example, right? That means like, let's see, 3x minus 4 it might look something kind of like this, okay? That means they're asking you for the line that's perpendicular and goes through here. 4, 1 might be like over here or something, right? I don't even know. And perpendicular would look like that. So your slope would be -1/3. And then you would plug in these numbers here. So, well, equals, I'll write it over here for you. So 1 equals -1/3 times 4 plus b. And you'd solve that. And then you'd write your answer. That's the difference. That's like the big idea. Mikey, that's the big idea. Our problem is we're focusing so much on the steps that we're losing sight of what you're doing. The thing is, and I know he said this yesterday, but it didn't make sense. The thing that's tricky is you have to make sense of the information they give you, and then you have to answer the question that's being asked. And a lot of you guys, when you do your homework, you're writing down the problem, you're not writing down the instructions, and that's like where it all falls apart. Because the instructions are telling you what to do. So you're trying to figure out what to do without reading what to do. Wait, that doesn't even make sense. How can you figure out what to do if you didn't even write down what to do? You're trying to figure out what to do, and you never read what to do. No wonder you're confused. It's funny when you say it like that, right, Tristan? Yeah. Brandon, does that make sense to you? So, Mikey, you had a question?
Yes.
What's your question, Mikey?
So I had two questions.
Oh, boy.
So you know how the equation is y equals 3x minus 4?
Uh-huh.
What happened to the 4?
Nothing, Mikey. This equation right here would be this line right here. We're not worried about that line. The only thing we need to know about that line is how this is related to the line we're looking for.
But on the equation when you rewrote it, when you like...
This is not this equation. This equation's right here. We're looking for another one that's right here. This 4 has nothing to do with it. This 4 is this equation. We're looking for another line. So nothing happened to it. It's like saying, Mikey, do you have a television at home? What happens to it when you go to school? Why aren't you using it right now? Because it's at school, because you're at school and it's at home, right? They're kind of different. Well, this 4 has nothing to do with your answer. Not in this situation. What was your second question? He's like, that first one went so bad, I don't even know how to answer the second one. Tell us, Mikey.
You know how the equation instead of like y equals 3x minus 4 instead of y equals mx plus b? So if it was y equals mx minus b, would it...
The plus is generic. It's just, this is called a form. It's like a shape. It's where everything fits. Y and x are just like the coordinates for y and x, right? There's lots of different ones. The number, the coefficient of x, the number in front of the x, that's the slope. And the number that's over here, whether it's plus or minus, is the y-intercept.
So you're saying that if the y-intercept was negative, it would be minus
Right.
whatever that is?
Right, because like here, like y equals our slope is 3, right? Plus our y-intercept's negative 4. Do you really need to write plus minus 4? You could just write minus 4.
Oh, okay, I think I get it now.
Yeah? Carlos, you had a question. What's your question?
What would you do if like the equation wasn't in the y equals mx plus b form? It was
That's
2x
good.
minus y.
That's a good question. It's harder to find the slope when it's not written like this, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Before we get to that question, check this out.
Can we just rewrite the equation?
Hold on. Before we even worry about what to do, I want to make sure you guys all understand, okay? So like, if this is the line we're looking for, right? Like this is our line. We're going to call this line Bob, okay? That's its name, it's Bob. This line's name is Bob, all right? And if we needed a line that was parallel to Bob, right? What about Bob do we need to figure out? The slope. And our slope is going to be what? The same as Bob's slope. Correct?
Yeah, Bob's little brother.
Whatever Bob's slope is, because we're looking for a parallel line, our slope is going to be the same. Now it's going to say parallel to Bob and goes through maybe the origin or something, okay? Bob doesn't go through the origin. It doesn't matter. Our line's going to go through the origin. Our line's going to look like this. So the y-intercept's going to be 0 because it's the origin. So that part's easy. So Carlos's question is, what if Bob was written like, I don't know. What if Bob was written like 3x plus 4y equals 12? Right? That's your question, right? Well, to figure out Bob's slope, okay. So check this out. This is called standard form. Okay, there's two ways we could do this. We could solve for y, but there's an easier way. Whoa, you guys perk up with an easier way. The slope is going to be the opposite of this number divided by that number. The slope's going to be the opposite of this number divided by that number. Yep, our slope's negative 3/4.
Oh, yeah. Because like couldn't you do like you subtract 4y to both sides, then subtract 12 to both sides, then you would have like
No, it's
Yeah,
first,
you just
first you
rewrite it.
subtract the negative, negative 3x.
Subtract 3x and then
then you divide by
subtract
4.
12.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh yeah, you could have done that also. That makes sense. That was magical.
That's it. So you can do that, no problem. But do you see, like, this slope right here is the opposite of this number divided by that number? And it will always be that way. Yeah. Yes, sir.
What would you do with the 12? You divide by
What's the 12 matter?
well,
So my question is,
find your slope.
hold on, what's this 12? What does this 12 have to do with answering our question?
Well, it's finding out the slope formula, so like that 12 is just, like, now we know what the slope is.
Right, we know what the slope is. It's this, right?
Yeah, but you need the formula, so like,
Wait. Slow down. You're not making use of the information. That's why that's why when we did all this stuff earlier, I didn't put any numbers. Because the moment we start putting numbers on is when you really start paying attention, but you're not really paying attention. You're trying to find steps. Look, Abraham, look, watch. I got your back. Look, you trust me, okay? Trust me. Look, Abraham, we're looking for a line that's parallel to this one, and it goes through the origin, okay? So that means the only thing we need to know about this line is its slope. So what's the 12 matter? Does this 12 have anything to do with the slope?
no.
No. It has something to do with the x and the y-intercept, but we don't care about that. We only care about the slope. So it's kind of like Mikey's question a minute ago, what happened to the negative 4? Nothing. What happened to the 12? Nothing. We don't need it. All we need is the slope. Yes, sir.
Can we go back to the other question because I had another question?
Yeah, Mikey. He's got his confidence back.
So, I'm still confused about the negative 4. Like, wouldn't that be the y-intercept?
Of this equation, yes. But that's the one, look, Mikey, that's the equation they gave you. You're writing another equation that's related to that. And it's related because of something to do with the slope. It's either parallel or perpendicular. The y-intercept doesn't matter for the one it gave you. See, I don't think you're understanding this yet. You have one of two situations that's going to happen when you're writing an equation, okay? Either they give you a line and you have to write the equation that fits it, in which case you need the slope and you need the y-intercept, okay? Now they might not give it to you in a picture. They might actually give you the slope and a point, right? Or they might give you 2 points, right? But all of these situations, they give you a line and they ask you to write the equation of the line, okay? Now, the other situation, like yesterday, they give you a line, right? And they're asking you for a different one. They're not asking you to write the equation of this line. They're not. They might give you the equation like this. They might give you the equation like that. But they're not asking you to write that equation. They gave it to you already. They're asking you for a new line that's either going to be perpendicular or parallel. And they'll tell you what point it's going to go through. So you're going to use the slope you're going to use this slope. If it's parallel, it's the same. If it's perpendicular, it's the negative reciprocal. And you're going to use this point with the slope to find the equation of your new line.
The equation's just different.
It's a different line. It's not the same line.
That's why doesn't have the most. That's why most of the time it doesn't have the same y-intercept because it's a different equation.
Mikey, it wouldn't make any sense to give you this line and say, hey, what's to write, Mikey, here's, Mikey, oh my gosh, look, check this out. Mikey, why would I ask you to write the equation of this line? Why would that be a question? Mikey, what number did I write down? 5. Okay. What's twice that? 10. Okay, where'd the 5 go? Didn't you use that to answer the question? Well, that's what you're doing here. You're using this information to answer the question. Okay, watch this, Mikey. Check this out. Mikey, what is half of the bigger of those two numbers? 2. Where'd the 3 go? It's right. You don't need it, do you? To answer the question, you didn't need the 3. To answer this question, what line would be perpendicular to this and goes through the point 4, 1? You don't need this. It's part of this line, but it doesn't have anything to do with your answer. You got it, and then you'll lose it, and then you'll get it again. That's how it happens. Don't worry. Diego, you have a question, right? Wow, okay. Yes, sir, Jesse. Negative reciprocal? Yeah. So, and that's a good question. So why is the slope of a perpendicular line a negative reciprocal? Like this? Like if this one was a slope of 1, then this one would be a negative 1. It's just how it turns out all the time. It's a pattern we see. If you graph a whole bunch of lines and they're perpendicular, their slopes are going to be negative reciprocals. It's just, yeah. Like, why do you get wet when it's raining? It's property of water.
Doesn't it cross like the opposite through the different quadrants, but the same?
Has nothing to do with quadrants or anything like that, or where they cross. It just has to do with, yeah, it has to do with their rise over run and what makes a 90-degree angle, and yeah. Mikey, what's your next question?
Okay, so yesterday, remember when Anna asked that the line was an equation, and she asked like if 3 was the slope because it was next to the x? So, and then you said yes, but there's like, but not all the times. How do you know when it is?
Look, the only time the number in front of the x is the slope is if it's written in this form. That's the only time when it's written like this. Here, the slope will not be 3. It's going to be negative 3. This is not slope-intercept form. This is called standard form. That's not like this. The only time you can look and see the slope is when it's written just like that. That's the question of the day right there, Mikey. That's a good question.
But how come it would turn into negative?
Because you would have to solve for, if you solve this for y, you're going to subtract 3x from both sides. You're going to get y equals negative 3x plus 9.
Oh, okay.
Remember, look, the shortcut. The opposite of this number divided by the coefficient of y is the slope. Why is Emilio so sleepy today? Oh. Okay. Who else has questions? Ms. Haro, you have any questions?
I have one, but it's like more about the homework.
I would love to hear your question about the homework.
Okay, so like in number 3,
Uh-huh.
I got a little confused with finding the perpendicular.
So what's the information they gave us for number 3? Because I don't have it right in front of me.
Y equals 2 and 5.
And it goes through 5 what?
And
5, 0. That is a good question. Okay, some people actually came and asked me about this question before school today. And Naeli, you remember how I gave you a hard time for drawing pictures the other day? You should only draw pictures if you're stuck with everything else, right? But pictures are really good because it helps you visualize. What does this line look like? It's horizontal. Like if this was 2 for y, if that was 2 for y right there, that's y equals 2. And you're looking for something that's parallel? Perpendicular. So that's going to be vertical, right? So if this was 5,
X equals 5.
So let's talk about this a minute. Let's say you didn't think about that, right? So you know that you have to find the slope of this line. This line right here, you need its slope before you can figure out what the perpendicular line's slope is going to be, right? What is the slope of this line? Like,
0.
yeah, because that's y equals 0x plus 2, right? So this has a slope of 0. What's the reciprocal of 0?
Undefined.
And undefined slopes are vertical lines. And vertical lines are x equals a number. That's a tricky question because all the procedures just fall apart. And so you have to revert back to information you know that you probably forgot. I know it's tricky. Yes, sir.
I want to check that same one, but with the...
Parallel?
Yep.
Okay, that's a good question. If it's parallel, it has the same slope, so it's going to be a slope of 0.
And it passes through...
5, 0,
5,
which is right here. If you have a slope of 0 and you go through that, isn't that the y-axis?
I thought y equals 0.
No, y equals 0 is this. That's y equals 0. This is the x-axis, and the equation of the x-axis is... Oh, I told you wrong. I apologize. Y equals 0. I'm sorry. It's okay, look, I did that on accident, but it is super easy to get those mixed up. Because it's like opposite. The x-axis is y equals 0, and the y-axis is x equals 0.
To check it with the calculator, I think.
It's so easy to mess it up. Yeah.
So like a parallel line, that would be like y equals 3?
So would y equals 3, let's say y equals negative 3, right? Would that be parallel to y equals 2?
Yeah.
Yeah. They both have a slope of 0. And it would be perpendicular to x equals negative 2. That would be perpendicular to y equals negative 3. Whoa. Bless you. Yeah. Because the slope 0, its reciprocal would be 1 over 0. And that's undefined. Well, yeah, anything that's vertical is perpendicular to anything that's horizontal. Right. Now, depending on what question they ask you, you might have to make it go through one line in particular or another. But yeah, it's perpendicular. Anna E., do you look like you have so many ideas going through your head right now? Dang. Okay. We were going to do something new today, but I think what we're going to do is we're going to practice this. Okay?